Welcome back to the Bacon Lodge. Today I have a new project for us, as you can see over my shoulder here. So what we have here is the cheapest snowmobile that I would actually ride that was on Facebook Marketplace. I've been kind of looking for one for a while. This is a 2006 Skidoo 800 Ptec. I'll do a quick little walkthrough here. Welcome to Bacon's Lodge, where I will build many things, fix even more, and try to make it an adventure along the way. So here's our new Skidoo project that we have here. As you can see, it's missing the front bumper and hood. The people who bought it before me used it as a part sled, and it looks like that's pretty much all they took off of it. It still has the side panels. There's a lot of sun fading on it. You can see the cracking on the pads, and the seat itself is pretty much destroyed. Track is in okay shape, a little dirty down there, but we'll figure it all out. The exhaust is not horrible, but it looks like it's been hit with a hammer a few times. Here's the other side. The decals, you know, I could probably just pull them off and make something look pretty on it. Inside, you can just tell it's been sat outside for years and just not taken care of. You can see that there's quite a bit of extra rust actually flaking off the exhaust, so I may have to replace the exhaust. And the chain drive is just dirty. The brake looks like it hasn't been used in forever. I took the clutch guard off already yesterday because I wanted to see how badly locked up it was. But it does actually have all the pieces. You can see even the spark plugs on top of the engine are rusty because it's just, like I said, I think somebody just sat it outside and never covered it up. But we're going to go through and we'll start tearing this all apart. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take out these side panels. In case you've never done it, there's these little clips here. You just kind of hold them and wiggle it up. And then you just wiggle them out. I like to put them back on there so that way you don't lose them. Next thing you're going to do is we're going to take out this air box. There's a sensor on the top that's already unplugged, and then you have to use the longest Phillips screwdriver you have. There's a clamp on both of the boots that you got to loosen up and then slip it out. Wiggle it out, set it aside. I'm going to disconnect these hoses, hopefully. I need to get I'm going to leave them with the carbs. And stuff like this where it's electronic, if you can leave it in the sled, just leave it in the sled. Just kind of tuck it up out of the way. And then I believe I'm going to have to get a 10mm to undo the throttle and the choke levers. Okay, so to do this, you're just going to loosen up the bolt, or the nut, sorry, on top. So you can fish it up. And then, I think it's frozen in there. I think this thing might be a little bit rougher than I thought it was going to be. But we'll tear it apart and figure it out. It's been several years since I tore one of these apart. Okay. This one has the heater core that goes through the radiator, so you got to make sure you remove those. Convenient, looks like there's no clamps on this side, so we should be able to just kind of wiggle this off. That's all going to need to be replaced. And then on the back side are the carb boots themselves. You just use your Phillips and hopefully get them loosened up. I should have doused this entire thing in penetrating oil. It's okay though, we'll get it figured out. Oh, the smell of old gas. Not too worried about these car boots because everything else is sun damaged so much I'm probably gonna have to replace them anyhow. See, I'm putting a little extra torque on them than I wouldn't normally do. Come on. Still not loose enough, huh? There we go. All kinds of electronics on this thing. Okay, where are you going? Oh, I'm just gonna cut the fuel line because I know it's not gonna be any good. There we go. So the choke is in this little clamp here. There's two little screws there that if I undo them, it'll make it so I can rotate it and release it. Actually, one screw. And there should be a little divot in the housing for when I have to reassemble it. Okay, that's the carb assembly. Okay, so I don't have my spring remover tool, but I'm going to use what I have to remove the exhaust springs here, and then possibly the ones on the other side, but we'll see. I need to get these off in minimum. You want to be careful if you're using just a pair of channel locks like this, or vice grips, because you slip, and then there's a lot of sharp things on the heat shields. You'll destroy the heck out of your hand. You can ask me how I know, but I've done it a few times. So I pulled out the exhaust. There's this donut here, and if it's loose at all, just take it off. No, this is pretty solid. But if you take that off, because otherwise sometimes it falls off and you can lose it pretty easily. Since mine's stuck on there, rusted so bad, I'm gonna leave it. You can see this is pretty rusty. So now, because I don't know what oil was in here, and evidently it's locked up, and I don't want to deal with oil spewing all over the bottom of the engine bay when I'm working on it, I'm going to extract it with my extractor here. It's quite a bit in there. That way I just don't have to deal with it. It's still going to leak a little bit in the bottom of the engine because there's going to be some in the pipe or the hose, but this way I can get as much of it out as possible. I don't think I actually said what I'm doing here. The engine's completely locked up, so I'm actually in the process of removing the engine so that we can see what is wrong with it. The owner that I bought it from had bought it for a parts sled, like I said, so he didn't really know what was going on with it. I'm hoping it's a top end, but we're going to see from there. So this is basically the process of removing the engine from the chassis. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect this radiator hose, or try to. I think I might have found part of the reason why this engine failed. Oil pump is way down there, and the cable that runs the throttle was disconnected. So which means that it's not putting more oil into the engine when it's revved up. It's just putting whatever the minimum is that it'll put through. That might have been why this engine failed. I don't know. I mean, maybe somebody was already in here messing with it. It doesn't look like it because everything else is put back together, and it would be kind of silly that they didn't put that in there, but wouldn't be the first time something silly happened on something like this. So I'm just going to take it apart. I'm taking the oil line out now, trying to at least. There's not a whole lot of room for me to show you exactly what I'm doing in here, but when we get the engine out and we tear apart the engine, I can show you it better, and I'll show you like how to clean the carbs and stuff like that. See, it's still going to leak some, but I limited the amount that it can leak because we don't have anywhere near as much oil as wasn't there. Okay, so we got the top radiator hose off, the bottom radiator hose off, the far radiator hose off that goes to the front. It's still connected, but it's removed. I believe all of the wires are disconnected, the fuel lines are disconnected, the oil line's disconnected. There should be a vacuum down here. I think that vacuum only ran to that Ptec thing, but we'll figure that out when we get to, there might be another vacuum line in there. So next thing I gotta do is pull on the bottom here, underneath here, there are 4 bolts that are the engine block bolts. So I'm going to get the right size Allen head for that, and we'll go from there. I don't have the exact right socket, but I have a T50 which fits in there pretty snugly, so we're going to try that. I think I've used one like that before. Cracked open. Okay. So I'm going to crack these 2 loose first, and then I'll use the ratchet to run them all the way out. Now I got those out, I'm going to do the other side and I'll come back to you. Okay, I just had one of my questions answered. You see where my wrench is? Right there? That's a giant hole in the block. With the connecting rod right there at the top of my thing hanging out. So that means that the whole lower assembly is garbage. So we're going to probably take the top end off in the sled so I can get it a little bit easier, and then we'll go from there. So we're going to pop this head off here. See how bad it is inside of that. I already know that the crankshaft is bad. Oh, yeah, this whole engine's going to be toast. But that's okay. We'll figure it out. Okay, I already had you loose. So, the carnage isn't that bad, but there's your problem. That used to be a piston. You can see it or not. The chunks of the piston. So that means that piston's gonna be bad, the cylinder's gonna be bad. I already know the crank is bad, and the bottom of the engine's bad. So I'm just gonna spend some time taking these jugs off so that I can get the entire engine out, and it'll be in 3 pieces. I'm not gonna show you that because there's probably gonna be some swearing involved. So that'll be the next step, and then after that, I'll come back and talk to you and kind of make a decision what I'm gonna do with this thing. So I got the cylinder head off. So this is what the bottom of a good cylinder should look like. This cylinder is actually still in okay shape. And this is what happens when you throw a rod through the engine and, from what it looks like, keep running it. Because it must have smashed enough. It smashed all the way through the cylinder into the intake. And it smashed out the front and the back of the bottom of the block. All the way through, like almost actually cut it in half. I don't know what you can see in there. So needless to say, I'm gonna have to figure out what I want to do with this. I got a couple of options. I'm gonna think about it. And then I'll come back to you in a day or two, maybe we'll figure this out. So I got the engine out, and I hope you can see that. This was not a, the engine's making some noise, let's shut it down and see what's going on. This was a, let's literally try to saw the engine in half. You can see it's cut almost all the way through, down to, I bet you it's actually cracked if I take it off of the engine mount plate. What's crazy is the bearings actually appear to be good, other than, oh sorry, you probably can see that. The bearings actually appear like they might have been okay, because they actually turn for the most part, other than this one that broke off, which would have been the bearing inside the piston itself. On there, it still looks like the clutch should be good. I'll do a video on how to pull that off a couple of different ways, and the recoil is still good, even though I let the rope go back in it. Okay, so I've had a couple of days to think about my poor financial decision here, and I kind of want your guys' help. I have a couple scenarios here that we can do with this sled. First thing I'm going to do is I'm not going to put any more money into it until I actually make sure everything functions on the carcass that's left. I already put some penetrating oil, you can see the cans there, into all the steering joints. So I got the steering loosened up. I got to go through and make sure the track works, open up the chain case and make sure that all looks good, and make sure everything on that functions first before I decide to do anything as far as repairing it. As far as rebuilding that motor, it's probably not going to happen. There's just not enough parts out there right now. Maybe later on in the season there would be, but I can actually go buy a older version of this sled with a brand new track in it for like $800 that has other damage, which is an option that I'm thinking about doing. I kind of want your guys' opinion. You tell me if you think you'd like to watch that and if it'd be worth reviving this old pig, or I just part it out. I mean, the primary and secondary clutches are good. The carbs are good. It's got all electronics. It's got everything else for it. So I could probably make I only paid $450 for it, so I could make the $450 out of it pretty easily with parts, but I have to deal with people then. I don't know if I want to deal with that. So if you can, give me a comment on what you would like to see done with this. Ignore the garbage cans. If you can, make a comment about what you would like to see done with this sled, or what you think would be fun to see with this sled. I could downsize it to a 600. I know a guy who has one of those that has a busted up back end of a sled, so maybe I could think about that, but we'll figure it out. But give me a comment on what you think, or should I fix the body up, make it look nice, and hang on a wall up at the lodge? That's another option too. Anyways, give me a comment, tell me what you think. I want to thank you for watching this video. If you need anything out there in this world, just ask for help. May God bless you, and you have a great day.